And the Douglas County Sheriff gives an update on the deputy-involved shooting that killed the suspect earlier this month. We are learning more about the investigation and what prompted one of the deputies to chase the suspect prior to the deadly exchange. Jacqueline Fernandez joins me live from the alert desk with what we learned today. Jacqueline.
Hey, Dave. In that news conference, Sheriff Aaron Hansen laid out the sequence of events that led to the deadly shooting of Jaquan Marion. On May 8th, deputies confronted the 26-year-old near 19th and Washington in South Omaha. During that encounter, investigators say Marion retreated into the back room of a house. That's when Sergeant Robert Stern chased after Marion, who, investigators say, shot Deputy Stern in the leg. Stern and other deputies returned fire, shooting and killing Marion. This entire encounter from initial contact to the final shots lasted less than 35 seconds. In today's news conference, Lieutenant Jason Stielek shared takeaways with an interview with Sergeant Stern, who explained his rationale for aggressively pursuing the fugitive.
During the surveillance operation briefing, Sergeant Stern was made aware that there was believed to be at least one additional individual inside the residence who was not believed to be associated with Marion. This is his direct quotes. "You would think that in my world, as a sound tactician and as a big proponent of not taking unnecessary risk, you would think that that was the best case scenario. I've got you trapped in a house with no way out. Let's lock this down. My SWAT team is a minute away and we win the day, right? But there was that one little detail that somewhere in this house is an innocent third party. It's like self-preservation versus the right thing to do. And I had to get the door open."
We also learned that 3 of the involved deputies actually fired shots that struck Marion. They are Deputy Stern, Deputy Cody Trindle, and Deputy Josh Kaiser. In all, 5 deputies were involved in this incident. Sheriff Hansen said the department presented their findings to the Douglas County Attorney on Monday. He said he has no reason to believe any of the deputies committed any crime, but he does say he'll let the county attorney speak to that. State law does require a grand jury to hear the evidence and determine whether to bring about charges. Meanwhile, an internal investigation to determine whether the deputies appropriately followed department protocols remains ongoing. First Alert 6 John Chapman is digging into this story. We'll share his findings coming up in our evening newscasts. Dave.
Jacqueline Fernandez live in studio. Jacqueline, thank you. We carry the Sheriff's News Conference on air and on our streaming platform.